All right. I think we're live. Here we
All the
go.
way.
Yes, sir. Okay. So listen, I did a little different. I don't even think if I told you guys yesterday. Usually when we do this stream, it's just on our Facebook groups, which they're a very small community of volume photographers that shoot sports in schools. So we did put it on Instagram yesterday. So we should be having photographers that are not necessarily in our industry who don't know us. So it might be a good idea to kind of go through and introduce ourselves for the first time. So how about we'll have the ugliest guy start first, Justin.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
That's subjective.
Hey,
That's
you
for
gotta
sure.
you gotta be super nice to me. First of all, my name's Justin Grafton. I am in Astoria, Oregon. If you've seen the Goonies, then you know where I live. That's where I live. But also, we have special guests today. We did a 6th grade basketball travel team last night, and somebody had told them that we had a little thing on YouTube, a little podcast or a little thing. And so one of the 6th graders came up to me and said, "Hey, I heard you have a show on YouTube." And I said, "Well, we do. It's not like a big one, but
Yeah.
tomorrow morning we'll actually have an episode at 8 a.m. because they all wanted to watch. So that whole basketball team might be at school in class right now watching us.
Okay, so I do,
Just so you know.
Okay, so we need to be kind of G-rated. All right, we got
but
that.
we'll get more to that later. Why they're going to watch?
Yeah,
Because
are we on a delay here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
need a
can
delay
delay.
button. It's
No
me.
delay.
It's me. You have to be careful of with my mouth. But yeah. So anyway, Justin from Oregon. I'm just happy to be here. So
Okay, so we have Elmar. I wonder where he's from. So
Guten Tag.
Yeah.
Figured out.
Yeah.
What's Guten Tag?
Guten Tag? Does that sound?
That's German, isn't it?
It sounds like German. Yeah.
That'd be cool if he's all the way from Germany watching us.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
why wouldn't? So you're picking up the followers you recently got on your Instagram is what's up.
Yeah, because I put it out on Instagram for the first time just to kind of see how that went, Yeah. So we've got Cynthia.
There's the NAFA team. That's the team I'm talking about.
Oh, the NAFA. Okay, so they're here.
Wow.
They are here. Right on.
All right.
Nice.
Very good. Very good. And we got Andrew. He's out west. Got in the southeast. They're close to you, Greenville. All right. Let's see. Texas. So I don't know where that's from. That's on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, say your name because we can't see it. But okay, James, do your thing.
All right. I'm James Quantz. I'm I guess more of a commercial advertising photographer based here in South Carolina, of all places. So do a lot of travel to my gigs. And I guess I've also, let me figure out what my finger is, created the light modifiers that I guess we'll talk about a little bit here, the Pro Light mods. And that's really about it. I've been doing this for 20 something years now. And, I do more of, I guess, of a studio kind of stuff that you use more in advertising, I guess, than the volume sports stuff that a lot of people will be involved with that are watching this. But I think it doesn't hurt to bring a perspective in from, I guess, the outside of the community. And then I enjoy learning about this community as well, which has been kind of a fun thing over the last couple of years. And then I make YouTube videos too. So.
Yes, his YouTube channel is fantastic. So those of you who've been following me on Instagram, you're kind of wondering what is all this stuff that we're doing. I learned a lot of it from James. As far as most of my Instagram is filled with pro light mods, smoke, those dramatic photos. A lot of it I learned from James and following his work over the years. But my name is Jay Boatwright. I'm out of Atlanta, Georgia. And we do nothing but youth sports photography. We're fortunate in our part of the world where we have so many athletes, so many leagues, so many sports that we can just shoot sports. We don't do families, weddings, houses, anything like that. All I do is shoot sports. So I'm very specialized compared with these two. These two guys can do a little bit of everything. My specialty is just sports. But and we kind of advertise this as well as we have. We did some pro light mod work this week. Justin did some. I did some. Jane, did you have any pro light mods this week? The guy who invented it?
Not this week. I've actually got a shoot next week, which I might use them in. It's kind of a secondary setup.
Okay, perfect. Well, we've got
He can't show his fast like we can. He's got probably non-disclosures and stuff. He's got
correct.
That's the issue. And then when I put my YouTube videos out, people are like, "Can you show more? You know, I would like to see more from the shoot." And it's, you know, if I'm going to put the video out like as close to when I shoot it, which I like to do just because it's fresh and it's, for me, I'm more motivated to do that. But then I can't really dump everything out there that from the shoot just because, you know, someone's paying for that and they want to use the images first. And so I do a little bit, but I don't want to, you know, push the boundaries. They're nice enough to let me show some of that stuff behind the scenes, and then the results. Sometimes I have to wait, like the Navy stuff. I have to wait with everything until they drop everything because it's you know, a big secret, the uniforms and that type of thing. And I had some NBA stuff with that too, the Nike uniforms and that type of thing, city uniforms. But yeah, I mean, it's just the way it goes.
I got those problems too. But what I have to do, I was just make sure. So a little girl that we posted, I had a little thumbnail up with the Pro Light mods, and I was just texting her on Facebook getting approval. So that's my approval process. I have to just make sure the parents are okay with me posting the photos. I don't have to worry about the actual Navy.
Well, I mean, the parents can probably be more of a bear than the Navy, depending on the you know, the parents. So
yeah.
Sometimes that's probably true. Yeah, parents can be like military. Yeah, they can definitely be.
Well, that's part of it though. Like when, you know, as part, you know, that's a big question a lot of people have is like, how are you posting these photos? They're minors. Can you do it? But I always, the reels that you see and the photos that I post, it's always either an athlete I know or a parent that I can see. And you can tell that they're really excited about the process. And once I take the photo, I can go show them or show them what's going on. And they, you know, typically love it. And if that parent is there, is so engaged, they're going to love if you put their child on your social media. So that's how I usually do it. So the little girl that I photographed here, I'd already photographed her older brother who's 25 and he's on the SWAT team now in the local town. And I took his pictures and all four of her children. So I knew she's going to be okay with it. So you have to just make sure that you're asking the right person so you won't have any issues with parents getting upset.
Just make sure dad's on SWAT. It'll be fine.
Big brothers. Yeah. Big brothers on SWAT.
Falling off your roof, come through that window behind you there.
So I don't know where did that. I still don't. Elmar, that's the. I'm not sure.
Ask Elmar, put where he's from.
Yeah. Elmar, put where you're from.
He's just bilingual. Elmar's super bilingual.
Bilingual. Yeah. So let's. What do you think? You want to kind of dive in and look at some of the photos that we were talking about
from the week from the Pro Light mods? Can we just discuss how? Thanks, James, for making these and making us look like rock stars. Because I will tell 100%. You this: last night the kids.
Oh yeah.
I said we're gonna shoot this one. We're gonna shoot normal, and then we're gonna take some liberties. And one kid raised his hand, says, "What's liberties?" And I said, "Well, you'll see. We're gonna show off a little bit." It says, "I'm gonna take a few chances later." So we did the regular shoot for this team, and then we set up the Pro Light mods, and it blew their minds. They were so excited. Awesome. The coach even posted a photo on my page. She said, "You know, it's the tightest group huddle all year long when they were looking at the camera." So, you know, just stuff like that. These pro mods make our job. Pro Light mods make our job super fun. So thanks for that.
That's what it's all about. I love hearing that, and that was the true motivation behind creating those is using them with pro athletes that have had their pictures done, and then when they get older, it's probably not as cool to be amazed at what they see, you know, on the camera. So they're more reserved. But then it was fun putting these together and then watching even guys at those levels, you know, really enjoy the results. And so when I see the stuff like y'all post, that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. Well, you see this comment, I think that was from your area, right?
Yeah.
Justin?
Yeah, that was from last night. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, and that's the thing is when I first started talking to James, the way I always try to explain to people, the way I look at guys like James Quantz who are doing unbelievable stuff for universities and professional teams. Of course, Justin and I don't have the kind of time to I don't know, James. Well, first of all, okay, let me back up. Like when you did the composites for South Carolina, those are the first photos I saw. Remember when you did the composites with South Carolina, you posted that video and I think you were working the D850. You might even use Einsteins. Were you using some Einsteins for those shoots?
Yeah, for the first one, like,
Yeah.
I think you're referencing like my first ever like YouTube video, which was like
Yes.
2011.
Yes.
Yeah, 2011. So yeah, and I was using Einstein's then just because there weren't any other real options with the the rapid flash duration.
Right.
And so those could freeze action, and they weren't like a Pro Photo Power Pack that cost 12 grand.
Right.
To set up. So, you know,
but man, those were cool.
They were so good.
Yeah.
They were so good.
They were ahead of their time, and it gave access to people like me that didn't have, you know, I was working for a university here, very low budget, because it was before anyone was doing anything like that. And so you know, a $500 light is a lot more, and especially when using a lot of different ones, that kind of made it possible to do what I wanted to do. And do it without breaking the bank or robbing a bank.
So, but you did some composites with those though, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of those were composites, but it seemed like you kept it fairly simple on your composites.
It was mainly like a stadium backdrop. So I would shoot a background plate, and I've done this too for other commercial images. I mean, sometimes we'll go into a shoot and have a background plate that will be referencing for the lighting and that type of thing. So I had a background plate with the field with the logo, the big C with the Gamecock in the middle, and then the stadium lights rimming kind of the edge of that image. And so then I knew kind of what we were looking at on set, so then I could take the pictures actually on set and drop them real quickly into that backdrop, so then the players could kind of see what we're trying to do at the end of the day for a team poster that would have the schedule and all on it, that would go out to all the fans and that type of thing. So this was kind of the step from taking in-game photos and creating like a collage like all the schools used to do, and then using that as a team kind of schedule poster, and taking that into the studio. We were doing specific photos with the backdrop and creating an image from scratch, kind of making the guys look super heroic, that then they would use it for their schedule poster, and they would have the team day event where the players would sign it and that type of thing for all the fans. And it was a kind of a big, kind of neat, fun thing back then. Now it's everyone's doing it now. So
right. That's pretty cool. You started the trend, but we kind of caught wind of James back then, but we kind of took his photography as like inspiration, and we try to figure out how he does this high level production, how we could break it down and use it into our volume world. And I don't think those photos I couldn't duplicate on with a whole league, I think
it depends on what you're doing. I mean, we were doing the pose portraits as well as the action stuff, and we were taking what I like to call simulated action. We were taking those images and compositing them into one image.
Right. And those for me, and I think Justin's the same, we don't really do that on the volume. Like we have 400 cheerleaders like we did this weekend. We don't do that. But I think the first ones that you the first idea you had was, I like to call it the Star Wars scene, with the lasers in the back.
Yeah.
Remember when you did that video? Yeah. That was like the first one. Like, oh man, we could possibly do that with the volume shoots. Yeah. To explain how you kind of got into that.
Well, we're moving way ahead now to really, I guess that the first year of COVID, 2020, was when I did that shoot. And, as soon as COVID hit and everything was shut down, I had a lot more time on my hands. So I was just scrolling Instagram and came across some work that John Gress, who was kind of a friend of mine, I guess, on Instagram. We would message back and forth, but a really refined, good portrait photographer out of Chicago. And he had done some kind of men's fashion shots with that background, with it looks like, like LED tubes, I guess, kind of like Pavo tubes. And so I'm just messaging him because instantly I could picture that it would look cool with, an athlete in that type of setup. So we talked back and forth, and I kind of took what he had done and kind of took it maybe to the next level, to where it was like a freestanding, I think he used like 3/16 of an inch, what do you call it? Not corrugated, but the foam core. And I'd used like a 1/2 inch on a 4x8 board, and we taped it together and then put the fusion on the back. And anyway, those images came out, really neat, and did it on set, tethered, so the players could see it as we did it. and they got a big kick out of it. And then I made that YouTube video about the shoot, and then a video of how I created it. And then I had John come on that video with me, and we kind of talked about the origination of the complete idea. And people, I mean, I still get messages to this day about that video, and
absolutely.
Then people don't watch the video and just want me to answer questions, give me how to do it. So anyway, but that was not a portable type system. And
hold on one second, James. Hey, Justin, can you go to I can't do it from my computer. Can you go to James's website so we can see?
I'll go to the Instagram. I don't think I have them on my website, but
we have you have the hexagon ones on the Instagram.
Oh yeah,
Go to his go to his website so we can kind of show everybody what we're referring to. This is the next iteration of it, right?
Kind of like it kind of evolved with some clients of mine, or one client of mine, the Hornets, where they have a octagonal pattern on their floor, on their court, and we took that and had that cut into a backdrop. Yeah, right there, kind of in the middle. And if you click on that, Justin, it should open up its own little gallery.
This one?
Yeah.
And so that's the same premise as what I did with the Carolina football team here, but just done with a custom design in the back. And then I put a gel, like a teal gel, on the right-hand side light, and then the other side is just a regular white. And then my main and fill light on the front end are both ungelled. So we just had that little bit of a gel highlight coming in with the team color that hits the right side of their face.
What's your modifier that's creating this? I know you're getting a little bit from here, but this isn't what's creating this.
That is what's creating that, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because that's the gel.
That color is amazing for coming through.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so it's a 7 foot umbrella, the one of the Westcott umbrellas.
I remember seeing you do that. Yeah,
that's behind the
this whole thing.
Yeah, it's on one side. So I have 2 7 foot umbrellas on either side, and then with the NBA guys, because they're we had some 7 footers on that team, the board went up 10 feet instead of the 8 feet, or maybe even 12 feet. I can't remember. It was huge. And so then I put another light up.
We're gonna put the last light.
Yeah. So I had to put 2 more. I had to use 2 lights on either side just to keep the lighting consistent. So in the top, I used just the reflectors, Pro Photo reflectors, and I believe it was gelled as well. So just that one side had the teal gel, and that's what's coming through and giving that nice, little highlight on the side with the color and the smoke.
Well, the control of light and the smoke is so good, because I know how hard this is to bring this color out. That's so difficult to get all this right in camera or close to where it edits good.
Yeah,
because when you try to do this secondary in Photoshop, it never looks this good.
No, and that's the beauty of using like a background like that, or the ProLight mods. It's in camera. I mean, it comes out pretty much polished, as is, as y'all know, I guess from your shoots this past week. But I mean, it's a lot of that is controlling the front lights too, to make sure you're not blowing that out. And you're getting that fall off on that background too.
Yeah, I think that's been the key, and why I feel like my photos was really good. I guess I did them this weekend. I did another shoot on Monday, and the key for me was making sure that main light did not touch the background lights or hit that smoke, because that would just saturate everything. The atmosphere is gone, and that little bit of hint of color is gone.
Yeah. And then back to the point where, the athletes, when they see this type of stuff, I mean, it surprises them. And in the video on my YouTube channel, you can see Mellow Ball over there, number 2. And he's grown up with a camera in front of him. And I did like one frame like that. And I pointed to the computer and, just kind of paused and let him look at it. And you see him stop, look at the computer, and then look behind him like, what is this voodoo going on behind me? And then he says, like, that's effing fire is what he said. And that, I caught that on the audio, which was pretty cool. So, when you can do stuff like that, he's going to remember that. And he's had God knows how many photo shoots and he
every day.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool when you can do that, and they get excited about it. And then they're like, I want these, to the team rep, make sure I get these so I can, use them on my social or whatever.
Right.
That's what's so awesome about being able to bring what you're doing with these pros to the kids, though, and they love that, and I love it. It keeps me creative and happy and having a good time, and so, it's just, if you don't have those yet or haven't tried them, you gotta get some.
Man, yeah.
Well, and that's the cool thing about the mods too. Like the board is great, but that's kind of like a one-use type
Right.
situation, especially with this so custom. But with the mods, there's so many different sizes and shapes and stuff like that. You can mix it up and create different backgrounds and try to keep it fresh, and with the gels like y'all did and that type of thing. So,
hey Ken from Tampa.
And Mattis, what's up?
Yeah. That is I guess while we're on the website, this is some of James' latest work for the Navy. They do a uniform reveal every year, right, James?
Yeah,
that kind of,
you should be able to scroll to the right, Justin, and it'll show more stuff.
And,
so
there's the mods right there. So these mods are being used on the highest level, and I've used it more than once where I've like been out there and I have some kids that maybe aren't quite so fired up and like, guys, this is really cool stuff. Look at this. These are some of the first photos taken in youth or high school or whatever with using these mods. And I'll pull out your website. With basketball players, all you have to do is show them Melo one time, right? and then they're all in. They're like, okay, this is going to be a really cool photo shoot. And then they're a little bit more invested in the shoot.
Yeah. Well, and super like you use with the baseball team and stuff, to where you have the teammates watching the screen come up. So then when they get in front of the camera, they already have an idea of what's going on, and they're already kind of excited to participate and look forward to seeing what they look like in the resulting images. So that's whenever you can do that and just get some enthusiasm and the guys kind of razzing them up and having a good time off camera as well as on camera, and that type of thing just creates that fun atmosphere. And I'm guessing, Justin, then when the kids were all huddled around your camera, that was kind of what was going on there.
Yeah, they definitely. Here, just real quick, I can show you, but
that's amazing. Like that's a LED panel back there, right? With the
so that was guys. If y'all have seen like the behind the scenes for some of the new shows like The Mandalorian, where they have just a complete LED wall in the background and on the ceiling, and they can create a complete environment. And that's what we were doing there with the Navy. And I've got a behind the scenes video on that shoot as well on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Yeah, most engaged huddle of the year, he says, the coach.
That's great.
That's what that is. And the pros do that to you too, don't they? They huddle around the thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's everywhere, and
they'll pull their phones out and take pictures with their phones and that type of thing, which is always a good sign.
Have you seen a better mullet than that with the pro light mods?
Yes,
that's up
there.
there.
You have not seen a better one.
Yes. Did you not see my high school baseball player I posted on Instagram?
Oh yeah,
30. He looks 30. That's not fair. This guy's in 6th grade, and he's tough.
I don't know. I mean, I think that the South is the place where the mullets are.
I don't know.
It's called the Kentucky Waterfall, isn't it?
Kentucky Waterfall. So we did this. We shot the normal, right? And then we switched it up to this, and the kids just loved it. And it was great. And it took a while, but it was worth it. So fun.
Yeah, that is awesome.
And then you got to get coach.
Came out great too, Justin.
Thank you. And they did the heart for James Quantz. They wanted to show the love, so they did the heart.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
I told them I was going to share this. They're like, "No."
Yeah. That is tamed when they get to high school. What they're doing, it's like, guys, let's calm that down a little bit.
Okay, now back to real pictures here.
Okay, let's back to
Quantz stuff.
Yeah.
Where else did you use those? These were the Pavo tube era.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, that was based off of, so like, commercial campaigns, that's or advertising campaigns. That's a big part of that is solving problems. So they came to me with that cash pop sign and saying that we need to build basically construct visuals that will be based off of this neon type look. And so we ended up kind of using that lighting and throughout the campaign. And then they had a VFX on the commercials you see on the TV with the character that was just the kind of neon sign character that would move and stuff during the commercials. So, in the visuals, we had to kind of troubleshoot how to do that.
Yeah, that could be a pain to make look right.
Yeah, so that's like putting a tube in, taking some exposures, and then pulling it out, and then comping it in post.
Yeah, and that's a good example, because that kind of stuff is like difficult to do, and especially that go back to the stuff that's going to require some of the gels, and like the go back on his page just to see if we can find a different setup, like it was using, I mean, having the atmosphere and the hint of gels, a hint of color is something like everybody wants to know what the settings are and where'd you put your lights. But that's not something you kind of, I mean, do you feel like there's a formula to it, James, or more when you get there, you allow yourself enough time to experiment with that and get it just right?
Well, it's a matter of, depends on the shoot. Sometimes, it's smart to kind of do and I know you did this, Jay, before your last shoot, kind of do a test just so you have a general idea of like a starting point. And because you do this long enough, you realize that you set up in one location and then you get it dialed in a certain way, and then you go to another location and there's just something different. And so then you've got to figure out what it is, what that variable is, whether it's f-stop or ISO or power on your lights, or where you're positioned, that type of how close the lights are, all that kind of stuff. You just have to have a bearing on that. So if you're doing something completely different, it's a good thing probably to do a test before you go to the shoot. And then when you go to the shoot, just get there early enough to where you can set everything up and have your assistant or what have you, someone stand in. Sometimes, based on the time, it might be the first, athlete you work with, but that's probably a worst case scenario. But just to, dial it in further and then figure out what's going on and that type of thing. But it's never a bad thing to do some tests off site and just kind of figure out, with the exposure and the smoke, you gotta, with these like Pro Light mods, you just got to figure out what I try to tell people is usually a stop or so above what your subject's exposure is, because you want to blow it out to a certain extent to where you're not seeing the diffusion material. When I see people that have them too low, I can see the wrinkles in the diffusion material, and that's a clear indicator that there's not enough power going through those lights. And then
wait, you gotta don't gloss over. Everybody hear that when you're using those Pro Light mods. If you see the mods in the background, you see the wrinkles, it's because their lights are not powerful enough, correct?
Yeah, correct. So if you can see your diffusion material in your exposure, then you need to bump that power up, at least a half to a full stop from where you are, because they're representing stadium lights. So if you go out with your camera and take a picture of the stadium light, I mean, you're getting flare, you're getting all kinds of stuff going on.
Yes.
So that's kind of what these are mimicking.
Made to do.
Right. They're not just round circles that are barely lit up for the background. You see all these shots here got some really good flare going. Yes. And the smoke just accentuates that creates that barrier, that cool barrier between your subject and the light back there, and just kind of gives it that atmosphere.
Okay. Yeah. And hey Justin, will you pull up my
and there's like the first shoot I ever used the prototypes on.
Oh, really?
I was gonna say these are pretty prototypey, because I was noticing how loose they are in the.
Yeah, see, those were custom sewn here as I was working my way through figuring out. Yep, exactly how best to create them.
I love this socks. How often do they pull up and they're like, "Is this a full body shot?" Yes, every time, please. Wear shoes.
That's fantastic. So we got we pull up my Facebook. Is it Facebook? Yeah. Pull my Facebook up, Justin, and show that photo.
I'm friends with you.
Yeah, so I was gonna be let's see here. There we go. Go down. Or go back up. That's the photo I said we were going to talk about. I've had a lot of people asking about that. Keep going up. That one, the cheerleader.
The blue.
Okay. Oh, I thought I had just a photo of just her on my Facebook.
This isn't. You might. I don't think I'm on your actual.
Okay.
How many profile. Look how many things he has. Look how important he is.
Yeah.
Public figure.
Yeah, I did that when I got banned. Remember when I got banned?
Yeah, you should still be banned. You should still be banned.
Okay, That one was a little different, and that was the same one that we kind of talked about with James had John. How do I say John's last name correctly?
Gress.
John
Gress.
Gress kind of inspired him to do the laser, the Star Wars background. And so I was lucky enough to meet him at Imaging USA. And as we were talking, I was asking him how would I pull this off, because the situation is I had almost 400 cheerleaders. I think we shot about 500 cheerleaders or something like that. Okay, there we go. We'll talk about that. James has his theory on that. We'll talk about that next. And so I didn't want to. Typically, you have just one modifier behind the subject, and that would light up your smoke and your colors. But I couldn't do that because that's so many different heights. And if you're photographing, that many subjects, a very short amount of time to do it, you can't be raising a light up and down to make sure that it doesn't spill out and mess up your photo. So we gelled those lights there and messed with the white balance on our camera, and then also did a counter gel on the lights that hit the subject. And that's how we were able to get blue light without using an extra light behind the subject. And that worked out really well for us. So that's how we did it, by just combining two different gels and adjusting your white balance. And you can get the blue smoke without adding an extra light. So you're just using the Pro Light mods there.
Yeah, it looks great too.
Yeah,
skin tone turned out good.
It did. That was my biggest. And the funny thing about it is I was worried about skin tones, right? And so that's why I brought my computer with me, so we could take the first few girls, the cheerleaders, and make sure the skin tones weren't messed up. And we end up using it as a tool the whole shoot. We kept it plugged in the whole shoot. And it was great. We were tethered. We had the tether tools, the orange cable, and hooked that up to. I was shooting with a Canon R3, and I had MacBook, and we just kept it plugged up, and we just let the cheerleaders watch their friends before their turn was up. So we just kind of had a rotating, and that worked out so well because it helped us, helped the coaches. We had some coaches there. They helped the girls pose. It would just end up being a great environment. All the girls were excited. They were cheering for each other. Once you take a great photo and all the team gets to see it, then they start encouraging their friends. It was like this huge roar of every time you take a photo.
Right.
And that is so much fun. You can't do that if you're just taking the photo and you're the only person seeing it. You have to, show it to people, and then that takes time, and you're out of time. You just don't have time for that. So being able to tether was really great. And then I did it again. I was like, that worked so good. Let's do it again on the smaller shoot, right? So we're doing it on the smaller shoot on Monday. And it was like, here we have these big cheerleading gyms, right? And then they'll have the house cheerleading team. And then other programs will rent out space because they have the bouncy floors and all that sort of thing, So if you have one cheer team, you have the house cheer team, and then you might have 2 or 3 other little smaller organizations that rent out space. So while we were taking the photos, we were tethered. Same kind of atmosphere happened where the girls were cheering for each other. They got to see the photos. The coaches were helping us pose or improving the poses. And then not only that, there was another cheer program that wanted to schedule with us. And then the owner of the gym after us, she's like, we're going to be contacting you. We have 100 something girls, and we really like what you did. So it just created this whole environment of, I don't know how you call it. It was his own advertisement. Like, I didn't have to do anything. All we had to do is do our job. And the only thing different we were doing is we were tethered. We're using the laptop to do all of our advertising for us. We get to see the photos, all the time, but the whole gym didn't get to see them and get excited. So it was really cool. And then you add the smoke in. As soon as the Pro Light mods look awesome, right? All the girls are like, oh, that looks so cool. But then as soon as you hit the smoke, like, we get smoke too. Like, it's a whole show. You know what I mean? It's like a whole show. It's not just yes, of course, it's great to get it in camera so that way you don't have to worry about post-production. But the good thing for, independent photographers is that's your advertising. You get more jobs by you're doing it right there in camera, and everybody gets to see your work right there. So, we're going to pick up another couple hundred cheerleaders we only had 40 that night. and we're going to
Well,
get a couple
and their
hundred
friends
just
will
from
see
doing that.
these pictures and they're like,
Mhm.
where did y'all do those? And word of mouth is the best selling tool. You know, third party selling, you can't beat that.
Yes, absolutely.
You can't even control it sometimes, and when it gets rolling, it gets out of hand. I mean, I there was points in my career that it got so crazy busy that I didn't know how I was going to continue to work every single day for that far out. So you have to be careful of that. Saying no is powerful and it's healthy. So you have to learn that too. But once you start rolling, it just comes to you. You don't have to market anything.
Well, yes, or you say no, or you just get better jobs, right?
Yeah,
You can get rid of the jobs that aren't paying you, the people that aren't appreciative, the
ones that don't like you're wasting their time, you're not
Or-
part of the team, you're not, that stuff. That's and that doesn't really help the kids. If we're not doing it for the kids and what we do, what are we doing it for? I mean, that's the stuff that frustrates me. That's
you
a
want
different topic.
ProLightMods.com, right?
Go.
Yeah.
James, ProLightMods.com.
ProLightMods.com.
And my favorite lights have been, I mean, I have pretty much all of them. I think there's a couple that I might be missing, but I think my favorite ones are the strips. As far as like run and gun, like you see the big bank of mods there. That would be good for a media day for a high school. Plus you have to have a lot of lights, right?
Right. Well, that was kind of overkill. I was using that as a demo to show basically every size that I had in inventory at that point. And so that was, that was just something that I could swing, and then having the guys and then having a huge space too. I was in their indoor practice, basically a full football field indoors.
Right.
And then we could do like big setups with all the players, get the whole line together, do some really neat stuff. And so that gave us the opportunity to do that type of thing. So, but I agree with you. I think people are sleeping on the strip mods a little bit. And like these behind me are the 1x3s, and that's what you were using, Jay, I believe, on that shoot. And so as far as setting up, with the rapid boxes and stuff like that, it's the easiest way to go is the 1x3s with the rapid boxes like you were doing.
Yeah. So that's what my setup is right now that I've been using. So yeah, like I said, James, like everybody was, those photos are amazing, but everybody's like, I don't have that many lights. You don't have to have that many lights. That was like, he is the developer of the Pro Light mod. So he's like doing a huge thing so he can show everybody what they got. Right.
Exactly.
But the strips I really love because they work perfectly with the Westcott Rapid Box. So those are you put those up. We get them all, everything Velcroed in, and we can do that in, just a few minutes.
And you can also run those in and out of set if you're doing something just a plain, like if you're just doing pictures of her on a black backdrop, you could do those and then run them in, or obviously you have them kind of in a second set, or you're just doing that setup by itself, and they're just super easy to move around with and get set up. And that's the main thing. I think the goal from here is to make the Pro Light mods, increase the ease of use of the Pro Light mods and that type of thing, just because, as photographers, we all, setting up and breaking down is not that much fun. And then, and it's trying to take that element out of the equation is kind of what I'm going to be working on next.
Do you want to, we got a couple questions here. But I do want you to, James, address or just give your theory on the whole, stands don't bother me at all, really. But
I mean, that's personal preference, like you're saying. I mean, in some of the early ones, I got like chrome stands just so that they would actually show up. Just because when you look at like the Hollywood or the kind of theater style Maxi Brute lights, they come with these huge stands that are used to hold them up. And if you're replicating that type of system, then the stands make sense. But then I could see where people want to keep it clean and then not show them off. So then you would obviously start with black stands would make it a lot easier. And then I've seen where people have just set up another little backdrop. You can get the a black cloth backdrop and just run it underneath the mods between the box and the stand, and that's a quick and easy way to black out that whole area. And once again, working on certain things to address any of these kind of, I guess, requests that are coming in, about using the mods. I'm actively working on different things to get them to where we have an answer for, you know, any of these types of situations. And it's just right now I'm trying to get all the mods in inventory. So it's, you know, manufacturing issues are still, they're still a thing. So it's it doesn't, those types of things don't keep up as fast as the solutions, unfortunately. But it should be a big year with things, you know, coming to fill out the offering that I'll have with ProLight mods.
I don't like seeing the stands personally. I think it distracts from the image. I think unless it was a big thick stand like they were on, like they looked like stadium stands, you know.
Yeah.
And I think if you're starting to see stands, my theory on this is the light's not being controlled real well, because you can cut that light off a little bit. If you're spilling that much light to where you're seeing the light stands, you're going to cause problems seeing most of the smoke too. You're going to cut down on a lot of your smoke because that front light is spilling and you're seeing the reflection on those stands. That's why I like this one. I mean, I used last night, I mean, we talked about this in text messages on how to control the light, but I'm using a grid on a this is a huge softbox right here, but I'm gridding it and feathering it in front of this kid, so I'm not spilling anything back here at all. But you can see the outline still, because I didn't really Photoshop these. I just this is in camera.
But you're only seeing that if you really look for it, you know. And
yeah.
The exposure is so great on the player there too. Is that, you know, I see him first. That's the main thing, is you want to see, you know, who you're photographing first, and then the rest of it is kind of window dressing, just kind of setting the scene, and that's where, you know, you knock that out. Obviously, I mean, I love the top hair light and the reflection off the, you know, the light coming off the ball on his bicep there, and then where you've worked that shadow and the light, you know, to kind of give it that gritty athletic type of, you know, feel, you know, despite him being, you know, a young basketball player. I mean, you've got it all going on there, and then the lights kind of, you know, hit you in the, you know, in the background there. It kind of gives it that extra punch that kind of takes it over the top. But
it worked out good. I spaced these out because obviously I don't have one big one like this. So my thought process on this was to stick the athlete in between and cover this gap, this hole.
Yeah.
And at first I thought I was going to have to run a reflector right behind him to help give this pop. But I realized pretty quickly with these big soft boxes that they were doing a lot of the work. I didn't need to do that.
Yeah. So how far back were they? A lot of people like to ask, you know, how far back you set your mods.
They're standing on the half court line, and this is at the volleyball 10-foot line, you know, where every gym has that 10-foot white line right here. Mm-hmm. This is the volleyball court line, and this is half court. This is 10 feet. So they're 10 feet in front of it.
Okay.
And that way too, you can drop them a little bit out of focus and soften them up.
I was shooting it, 5.6 here. When I shot the group, but when I'm shooting these players, we're at 2.8.
Okay.
I'm shooting at 2.8.
Yeah, and those look great.
And the reason I'm getting, so this is that conversation we have about Pro Mist. I don't think you need the Pro Mist mod when you're shooting at 2.8, because you're getting that effect with the bokeh and the backlight and all the other good stuff that's happening. So if you shoot at 2.8, you're not ruining the subject sharpness with the Pro Mist mod and putting cheap glass on the front of really expensive glass. Mm-hmm. And you can add the flare later. Like, I mean, I can take this into Photoshop and add as much as I want in that, you know, what you guys talk about, that haze or whatever. But I'm getting
why are you so mad about that?
Because you don't listen to me.
You'd be a better listener, Jay, apparently.
Yeah.
But I don't have to see, look how long that's taken. I do not have time to pull up Photoshop for that.
Oh yeah. And then you have to have all these. Don't you have all of this good stuff? And do you have this many actions? No. Are you this crazy with actions?
Oh my God.
No.
Right? Am I sick? I'm sick. But I'll tell you, the best actions is this silky light right here for that.
No, I'm a fan of the mist filter that James told me about. I have 1/8 of a mist filter, and I use that to help with little haze on the lights. I don't feel like it degrades from the subject, but I'm kind of in the same camp with James. And I think for me, that the reality of my world is that most of our images are average order is $60. So if I see a little edge on a softbox, or the photo is instead of being 100% sharp, if it's 98% sharp because of a filter, that I'm willing to live with that, because the benefits of adding a little bit more smoke, I think, are good, but also we can't worry about every single detail in my world. Like James might be different because he has, commercial stuff, but I don't have to worry about that, because parents, if I post that photo of that football player right there and a parent's going to pay $60 for that, I feel like it's pretty good value, even if they see the edge of a softbox.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's
super good
straight
value.
out of camera too. And that,
Yeah.
Right. So I can live with that. So I know some people are more picky about that sort of thing, but once you are editing 2,000 images that you took, on Saturday, then you have another couple thousand on Sunday. Soon enough, you're gonna be like, okay, I can live with the edge of the box. I'm not gonna pull that in Photoshop or Lightroom and every time do that.
We don't have time. You would never get the photos to your clients ever. You would just be living in Photoshop.
No, and that's why I'm so fascinated with James Rules too, because like when he's taking photos, he has don't you have like a creative director or something watching everything?
Not just one. Usually, you got more than one, right?
Yeah, I mean, just go and look at on my YouTube channel and the behind the scenes on set, and you'll see. Usually, it's a creative director from the agency, and then it's usually the end user, like the client. So they'll be on set. They'll have their own opinions, and so it's a juggling act of you're going with the creative director's vision that you've usually had Zoom calls about. And in this day and age, and then they're going to the client, making sure the client's happy. The client might see something that they're like, hey, can we do a little of this? And it's just a moving target usually during the day. And that's where you're hoping from the onset, you're kind of close to that target. And then as you work through the shoot, you're getting exactly what they want. And then you're taking some liberties toward the end, kind of like you were doing, Justin. And then you're delivering more than what they were expecting on the front end coming into that shoot. And that's where it's the under promise and over deliver type of deal. And that's probably one of the main things of keeping yourself in business is applying that principle.
That's such good advice. It's the best, really. And that's how business works. That is. It just is. Doesn't matter what you're doing. That's just business.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got a couple questions here. I mean, we're like 14 minutes away from being done, believe it or not. We've been talking for 45 minutes. Smoke. Okay. James, well, first of all, let me go. I did put a coupon code in there. I use, we did, like I said, we did 350 cheerleaders, and we pretty much did smoke on, I would say 80%, 90% of the photos. And I went through 5.5 cans of atmospheric aerosol.
That's good.
5.5 cans. Yeah.
That's all.
And get these handles too. This makes your life so much easier.
Yes. Get those handles. And I have that was a lot of photos. I think we did. How many did we do, Karina? 2,000 photos? We did about 2,000 photos total. And we had atmosphere on, like I said, 80-90% of those photos. Not a lot. It's just, and I think when you saw a lot of James' work there, that it's just a hint of smoke that helps bring out the color and add that little bit of, yeah.
That's what I was going to say too, because we had a couple of conversations about Justin about gelling the lights and whether or not you would see them kind of in the lights. So like this one actually has like a teal. This is actually a constant light that's RGB, and it's set to like a teal color, but you can't really tell because of the exposure of the camera. But then when you shoot it with smoke, you can see it.
Look at that. Okay. That is the coolest demonstration ever. Do y'all see? And, I mean, that blows
this one
me
so
away.
Scientific. It's the most scientific thing I've ever seen.
I'm trying to figure out which way I'm going here. And
you did good. It was perfect.
No, that was.
I mean,
red.
Orange.
Okay. Okay. I'm like blown away. I mean, I was talking to my son. I have one son. Karina, I have one child that's really smart. No, they're all smart, but JoJo's in particular smart. And I was like, can you explain this to me? How does this work? Because if you wouldn't spray that smoke right on the lights,
look how good it looks.
Much.
Just haze.
Haze.
So
yeah.
But that's the haze is picking up the color, and that's kind of the same things working those NBA photos that we showed earlier, and that's exactly how it does.
That's wild. So it's white coming out of the boxes typically because you have a strobe hitting it.
Yeah.
But as it hits that haze, then the blue comes out.
Yeah,
or
so
you're in the back of your subject or whatever.
the
It's
haze
really,
is got too much haze going on here. The haze is capturing the color, the essence of those lights, and so that's part of the magic is when you're using those gels is to kick that haze in there, and that's what really helps the color kind of come through, and so people see it. So if you're working two different colors like I've got there, then that's kind of the magic sauce with doing that type of thing.
yeah, that's super cool.
And
That
then
just blows me away.
then people asking questions like, so I'll use this, like if it's in a small area, like my studio here, this is the go-to here. But then for like the big setup with the football players, when I'm in a larger space, then I'll go with the smoke machine, just because I'm trying to fill more. You just wouldn't get the coverage with these little cans. And so the smoke machine does that. And a neat trick with the smoke machine, which you'll see like with Rocktown and Brad and them, they'll kind of kick the smoke out, and then they'll have someone run through the smoke, which then spreads the smoke out,
Right,
and gives them more of an even distribution of that, which is
I
fun
did
too.
notice
Then,
that. That's funny.
then you're incorporating, the other kids into the shoot, so they're serving a purpose, and then they see it because they're filming video of it, and it's just another way to kind of get everyone.
it's part of the show.
Yeah.
Part of the show. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I have a smoke machine too, and man, I can fog an entire football field with that. I have a Roscoe. I mean, I can. And James saw it. I showed you those photos where I could fog a whole entire football field with that thing. So they have their place. Depending outside, I think smoke because outside is tough because you have the wind.
Yeah.
But a smoke machine will. It's easier with a smoke machine because you can put out more fog and just more volume. So if the wind does blow, you still might have something left.
And with the smoke machine too, you might have to spend a little bit more, but I like the ones with the remote, so then you can control it like offset. You don't have to have someone right there with the connected button, and so that's kind of what we did, and that's kind of fun too. So when you get like the first couple of guys that are out on the shoot, you hit that button and they're like, where's how's this happening type of thing. So that makes life a whole lot easier having a remote for your smoke machine.
Yeah.
I haven't used the smoke machine yet. I have a brand new cheap one sitting in a box, but do you guys own a haze machine too, James? Have you tried both smoke and haze?
I've used haze, I guess, on video shoots where usually there's a video production going on and I'm shooting stills on, and then they have like the official probably $1,000 haze machine, and then those they're different types of smoke too. So you can have smoke that hangs low to the ground, and then just kind of regular smoke that goes everywhere. And depending on the set, that'll be they'll have specific smoke in those haze machines. And you'll see if you go back and look at some of my stuff, another one of the Navy shoots we did with the Marine uniform, and we were kind of in the woods, and they wanted that kind of smoke on the ground type of thing, and that's when they had like the real haze machine, and we did some stuff with that. So I'm not, unless there's a big budget for it, I'm not going to be, that'll be something that would be like a rental, not a
right.
Yeah, because you're not using that every day.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
Justin, what did you
3x4? Those are they're impacts. I bought those. I just got those. It's on James's list. He has a list of modifiers that work for every single one of those. Don't go just buy any softbox. They're not made the same size.
Yeah, go to the how to install page of the ProLight Mod website, and I've got 2 videos up there of how to put them on your softbox. And then if you scroll down, there's lists with links for the different softboxes for the different sizes. So, yeah.
And somebody else that asked the question, are you think you have any plans for any octaboxes with the ProLight Mods? You're going to keep a rectangular shape?
Can't discuss everything just yet. So
sounds to me like those are on their way.
We got, like I said, I got some cool stuff coming up, but it's the manufacturing process still kind of holding things back, keeping things slower than I would like. But yeah, we got some cool things coming.
That's awesome.
Stay tuned. I'm not sitting still on this. It's keeping me pretty busy.
All right. Fog machines. After I set fire alarm off and it took like 3 hours to turn it off, I'm pretty much not Unless I have a really good place to ventilate and have a fan where I can like just cut the fan on or use a blower or something to get it out of there so it doesn't hit the fire alarms. I'm kind of done with the fog machines in a small space. Anyways,
Aerosol, those cans work good in a gym.
good.
They work really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
especially with the handle. The handle, I mean, don't discount the handle. It makes life so much easier than having to put your finger on there. 100%. And you can get these, I think, at paint stores too. So
okay, I think they're pretty cheap with Atmosphere and
yeah, they order the case. But you'll use it. Just order the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I gave you that discount code, guys. So it's expensive. It's not cheap, but 15% off is pretty generous. So it's good. You got that deal, and go ahead and buy the little handle that goes with it. But I think the biggest thing that and James gave me a hard time about this when we first started talking a couple of years ago about like not ever tethering. I'm gonna try to find reasons to do it. For the response that I've been getting, but then, damn it. Then I want to have to get that Sony camera because it has a tilty flippy. That's right.
Oh,
so you can, you know what I'm saying? Yes. Look at that, Justin.
I can't believe he has one and I don't. John Scott, what is going on?
That's great.
So yeah, I'm hoping this is coming out on more cameras, but I mean, you don't necessarily. I guess. It does make your life easier when you are tethered. If you're shooting down low and doing some things with your camera, and that helps avoid the tether cord coming out the side of the camera, because that affects the rotation, especially on the Canon when you can only flip it out.
Yep. Yeah. So that's hard to tether.
Well, it's not hard. It's just if you're looking through the viewfinder, it's not a difference at all. But if you're using the screen to focus and you're putting your camera low, like sometimes these athletes like to get low to the floor, that type of thing, where instead of going prone, you're using the screen. That's where that kind of plays in.
And I think that I love that shot though, that hero shot of just a landscape photo of a little kid with
from
the
smoke.
Oh, that's my favorite shot.
Yeah,
my favorite shot. So I can't do that if I'm tethered. Well, I can. I just have to lay on the ground.
Yeah, you got to kind of back yourself up a little bit at the least if you're gonna. And I actually, I mean that's really the only way to do that when you are tethered. But I'm hoping, like I said, that Canon's gonna come out with a multi kind of angle screen like the Sony one that has.
Okay, let's see. Discount code for the Atmosphere. Just go direct to the manufacturer. Somebody can post that link. That'd be cool. Let's see here.
So which Sony are you shooting with, Jeff?
Okay.
I have them all.
Okay, except for the R5.
Except for that new one, yeah. No, here. What I've been using a lot. It broke the first day I had it. But those cameras are so nice. You can just change. You can change in the menu system what toggles what. So I was able to. My shutter broke on that camera, and instead of sending it back, I just moved the shutter wheel from one wheel to another one, and I've been using it ever since because it has the best tilty screen. I haven't sent it back in yet. But you know what? Before that A4, that's the A4, the Sony A4, and it's really great. But I use the A7S III, the video camera, which I'm using right now to video. I use that for over a year. Nobody ever knows. If you're not cropping a lot, you can get away with 12 megapixels all day long in the volume world, all day. Saves on hard drive space too.
Yeah.
All right, give me a second.
But I shoot my commercial work, portraits, senior sessions, that kind of stuff. I live with my Sony A1. I love that camera a lot. But I just got the Fuji too. I'm still getting comfortable with that. That might play into more senior sessions here soon.
Well, that's a hard drive eater right there.
It is, but I've saved it for long enough. Maybe I'll use it up.
What about that? The Z8? Do we know anything about the screen on that?
My honest story, I switched from Nikon. I got tired of the waiting. You're constantly waiting for them to come out. And it seems like every other manufacturer, all of a sudden you have a new one. You're like, wait, I didn't know that was coming out. I need that? Maybe I need that. And then you go buy it. Nikon, you're sitting here. When is it coming? I need this. Everybody else is 2 or 3 cameras ahead of me. I know it's going to be amazing when it comes out by Nikon, but the wait kills you. kills you.
I mean, if you're going to shoot video at all too, it's Nikon still behind the other cameras right now, unfortunately, because that's where I switched from the D850 to Nikon's.
We're all Nikon. I think we're all Nikon users to begin with,
and they failed us all.
Yeah, well, I had clients asking for video on some of these shoots, and I could not. I'd have to lock off focus and everything with the D850, and still it wasn't great. And so, and then you're sweating that out. You know, that was in the back of my head while I'm doing the still shoot, and so you know, that was kind of a easy decision to make when when I knew I was changing to mirrorless. That kind of levels the playing field to where you're gonna have to get new lenses and new lens mounts and that type of thing, because the lenses, obviously, as we all know, once you're invested in a system, that's where all your money goes, into the glass, and that's what makes it hard to switch it up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, fellas, so we hit an hour. I'm gonna go through some of the highlights here for the Pro Light mods that we kind of discussed. There were kind of keys to success, and you can add to or take away from. The first thing we kind of went over was is have that little bit of separation from your main light to the Pro Light mod, so that way, especially if you use an atmosphere, correct, or gels, so that way you're not bleeding out or just overexposing your gels, correct?
Well, and when you're using smoke, it's best to keep that smoke between the mods and your, behind your subject, because then you kind of lose, your, I guess, the contrast on your subject when that smoke gets in front of them. And then it's like putting on like a half mist filter, and it just flattens everything. So if you can keep that, that's another good thing about using, these, is they kind of dissipate
quickly,
usually before they get in front of your subject. But if you can keep that, like, what'd you say, Justin? You were around 8 feet?
10 feet. We were 10. Yeah.
Yeah. It depends on, the space obviously you're in, but if you can just keep an alleyway between the mods and and your subject, and then you kind of fill that with the smoke, that way you control the contrast, like Justin had on those shots where he was feathering the light onto his subject and keeping it off the mods at the same time, and then getting that nice fall off on the other side of the face.
100%. And then the black backdrop was a good trick if you want to cover up your stands. I use a black backdrop when I ever use the Pro Light mods, just to make sure that I don't have. I had last night or Monday night, I had a white wall behind the Pro Light mods, and I was just worried with everything bouncing around. You just never know what it's going to do at each different location. And just to make sure that I don't have any issues with anything in the back, we went ahead and did a black backdrop behind the Pro Light mods.
Yeah.
You use that, Justin?
Yeah, I think that's helpful. I didn't use it last night because I had the whole gym to myself.
Yeah,
when you have a big space, you
Yeah.
can kill ambient pretty easy, especially with the neutral density, So I purposely put them that far apart because I had the room. I normally don't have that much space, but my goal was to try to make a big wall of lights behind them. So I wanted a long lens, and I pulled those closer to them by zooming in. That was the goal. It didn't do it exactly as I thought in my mind, but it turned out good. So.
Okay. Now, my tether, if possible, if you can make it work. I'm not going to tether from a lot of my work because I'm outside and there's just no way to do it. But if you can indoors, that's good, because you're going to find that you get a lot more participation from your athletes and your coaches, and it's usually a good thing. The Pro Mist filter, I'm on board for the Pro Mist filter.
I'm on board as well.
Justin's not. He wants to spend his days in Photoshop.
Really? Did I do any Photoshop work? No.
There are some shoots that I probably wouldn't use it on, but they're like, I think it's probably more acceptable with like maybe your female athletes and that type of thing, where maybe your lighting's even softer than some of the male, like football and things like that, where I probably would not go with the Pro Mist. Just
save some money, rub some Vaseline on the front of that lens. You'll get the same look. Just glamour shot.
Save some money.
Yeah.
Okay.
UV filter and rub it on that.
Yeah. Let's see the good tip that James gave me. We're taping up the have black gaff tape first of all. So if you have any edges where you didn't really get really good, and if you're shooting a lot of images and you're taking photos and you see little cracks of light coming through your Pro Light mods, we were using gaff tape, but I mean, after I got done with the shoot and I used a bunch of gaff tape, James is like, why don't you turn your model lights on so that way you can see ahead of time if anything's bleeding through? And I was like, well, after I use $50 of gaff tape, thanks for that little tip. So that's a
I
good
set
tip.
them every time I set them up. I turn the modeling lamps on, look at it from the camera angle. If I see any light coming through the edges, and just go over there and push the Velcro down, and it normally takes care of it. Sometimes in the corners you might put a patch of gaff tape in the corners based off of whatever box you're using. You might have a little bit of leak there, and that's really the only place that I ever use it.
Yeah. And two, I think it kind of helps you can see your circles as well, right? A little easier if you use that. So use a modeling light. Use a modeling light when you're setting up your Pro Light mods. That'll help you make sure you get everything just right. And then I think that leads it let us right into the modifiers. Make sure you use James' list of modifiers, and you don't just the mods don't work just because it's a 1x3 doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be fit on a 1x3 softbox. Make sure you use his list so you get the right modifiers.
And the boxes are linked right off of the website to B&H or Westcott for the most part, and so or Adorama if they're glow boxes and that type of thing. So it's super easy. And those boxes that I have on that list are ones that I brought in here and tested out myself, and so I know that they work.
Awesome. All right, guys. Time's up. That was fun. We didn't get to any. That's a whole hour on Pro Light mods.
Was that what we were even going to talk about?
I think it was. Yeah, it was. It was. But the thing is like, okay, I feel like it's a little bit different. Justify, because we actually use them. I use them all the time. So it's not like we're just doing a ad for James. Like we actually use it, and it's been getting us jobs, and it's a thing around. I mean, it's everybody. Half the people that call Carina right now is like, can we do those lights in the background and the smog? So it's
the
really
kids know about them. When I pulled
do.
them out, the kids had seen them. They knew exactly what they were. So
well, and I like to look at them as just another tool, in the kit. And you don't have to use it for every shoot, like you wouldn't use the same modifiers, stuff like that. I mean, if you use the same thing over and over, it's going to get stale, but it's something that, I like to have maybe on a secondary set for some of the stuff I do, just to have them there and do something kind of fun and different than maybe the main setup is.
And my advice to people, if you don't have the Pro Light mods, buy the strips first. They're really easy to manage, and then kind of build up your kit from there. But the strips are really easy to set up, and you can kind of figure out how you like the placement on your subjects. Maybe not I use them for a team as well. They still look good.
Yeah. But, that shot you did where you and that's another thing people don't think about is you can rotate them. And so you can go horizontal or vertical. And so when you did that baseball shoot, which I thought was really neat, when you had the whole team together, then you rotated them at a slight angle, which looked really, really nice. And for their team shot, and you had it kind of in the gaps of a couple of the guys that were standing there. That was, I guess the final image on your Instagram post there, which I thought was really, or maybe it was on your reel, but that was, really a neat looking shot.
I'll tell you, the problem is you buy a bunch of them, you start running out of lights fast, wondering how you're going to light your subject, because you're lighting everything from the back and you're adding lights and all these things. I was running out of stands and lights. I'm like, I'm running out of stuff to be this creative. I need to start renting gear.
That's funny. Yeah, that's true. I got, and what I can go down to the 400s for those.
Yeah.
The Godox 400s.
And I think some people are using with the 200s too, based off of, I guess what else is going on in their setup. Another good place is there's a Pro Light Mod users group on Facebook, and a lot of people are sharing information in that group. So
that's perfect for that. Yeah.
Y'all need to go post your pictures in there.
I did.
Did you?
Oh, I do. I don't think I have. I need to do that. But I did use the 600s for that big shoot, though, to be honest with you, because I needed the battery powers to last for a long time, and I wanted to recycle quickly. So having if you do a shoot where you're going to go all day long with the Pro Light mods, having a bigger battery, maybe 600-watt light, so you can maybe shoot at half power, will really help. So that way you're not going back there and changing batteries all the time.
Well, and I mean, just the rule of thumb, I always show up with at least 2 batteries per light on any of my shoots, whether 100%. It's Pro Photo or Godox or Westcott. I will say the the Westcott, if you're shooting 400s like the FJs, the Westcotts will hang around longer than the Godox will. Just they have a larger battery, and
that's a big beefy battery. Yes.
Yeah, they're rated probably 20%, 25% longer than the AD 400s will go.
Yep.
And I've got a video on that too.
That's fantastic. Yeah, use the resources back there. His website, he's kind of been through most of the situations, so make sure you guys check that. All right, I've got to go. We got stuff, and I have to. I have a 7'1" exchange student. I got to make sure I take care of.
You need to get a picture of him dunking on you, Jay.
Yeah.
Oh, me and Jody have already got like our idea of what we want to do with the Pro Light mods in the back with him dunking. We're so excited about it.
I don't care about the mod. We need to see a picture of you just getting dunked on. You know,
I do want to see Jay getting dunked on for sure. Yeah, where he's just taking it in the face. Just
yeah.
Dude,
maybe he's using your head as a little extra boost.
He would completely jump over me.
Yeah,
all the way over me.
Well,
all right, guys. Well, thank you for doing this, James. Thanks, Justin.
This was fun.
Yeah, we got to do it more.
Yeah,
we say it every time. We never do. We wait a year.
Yes, we need to do it more. And Justin, you got to commit.
I commit
once a week.
Don't be so angry, Justin.
Yeah,
I never.
Go see your therapist this week.
They don't want to see me anymore. They're done with me.
It was great. All right, guys. Thanks so much. We'll see y'all hopefully next week.
Okay.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.